My book, Ram 1, is basically a true crime memoir about my career, my time on the Omaha Police Department. I worked 16 years on the SWAT team and 14 years working undercover buying drugs and guns. It's a open and honest look inside the career that I had with the Omaha Police Department. You know, I had a pretty amazing career, not because I'm awesome, but just simply by the proximity of the two different jobs that I did. It was pretty amazing to look back and think, man, I did a lot of things that not a lot of cops get to do. I had a partner that was killed in the line of duty. I had another partner who died in the line of duty. Those parts are pretty personal to me, telling stories about Jason Pratt and Greg Hamill, letting the readers know about my very close friends who are no longer with us, you know, that gave their lives for this community. The opening chapter is very personal as well. You know, I was forced to take a life on a hostage rescue here in Omaha, which is a pretty rare thing in the United States, even though it's happening more and more often. It's a very unique thing to do in the police world. Overall, you know, to get to tell stories about the cops that I got to work with, intermingled with how I got to be part of their cases, was probably the best part of writing the book. You know, law enforcement is a life-saving entity and not a life-taking entity. Sometimes the life-taking happens, but the hundreds of thousands of interactions with citizens across the country every day that are positive interactions that don't make the news, they don't make the stories. They happen every day all the time, and people just don't get to hear about those things nearly as often as the events that make the media. You know, I wrote this book from the heart. I'm pretty open and honest in this book about the things that I messed up. You know, the working SWAT and undercover simultaneously it's two opposing types of jobs, and I was literally working 20 hours a day, sometimes days on end, and so doing those two jobs kind of tore me apart. And that's kind of what the cover of the book depicts, is me being torn from one side to the other because of how many hours upon hours I was working. And luckily, you know, through some help from my spouse and some close friends, they were able to let me realize that it was tearing me apart, and I was able to make some changes and make some amends and kind of get my life back on track of, you know, working less and chasing the bad guys a little bit less, so I didn't become somebody that I didn't want to be. So I'm thankful for those people in my life that smacked me across the face and told me, hey, listen, you need to slow down a little bit. And I was able to do so, you know, for the last 10 years of my career, basically. So thankful for them, you know, for that change that I made. I do have some regrets. You know, I had put the career at the absolute forefront of everything. You know, some relationships suffered because of that. Lost time with family and friends because I was beholden to the SWAT pager 7 days a week, 365 days a year on call, you know, for 16 plus years. Can kind of take a toll. A lot of good things happened because of that, but at the same time, you know, things suffered because I was always on call and always willing to answer that call. First of all, I would say do it. It's an amazing career. But secondarily, I would say make sure that the rest of your life doesn't get swallowed up in chasing that job. Good people in law enforcement are so needed all across the country, and don't let some of the negative media sway you away from the job, because there's way more good than negative that goes with the job. And again, it is needed. You know, without law enforcement, you know, our society crumbles. So, you know, chase that dream down and give it a shot. Surround yourself with good friends that you can confide in, and don't take it personal, and don't let this be your only identity. You know, do the things that you do outside of the job with your friends who aren't in law enforcement. But then again, also, you know, support your friends in law enforcement, because the job can be all-consuming if we let it. So just have other outlets that aren't going to let you be drugged down by the things that we see and do on a daily basis. Law enforcement is a tough career. There's a lot of really good cops out there. Unfortunately, there's a few who can kind of spoil it for the rest of us. But law enforcement is a good career, and we time and time again we put our lives on the line for people that we don't know. This book is a good example of one of those careers of the craziness of the job. Most cops say that they want to write a book at some point in their career because of the job that we have. And I got towards the end of my career and thought, I've said this for 23 years now, I should write a book. And so when I finally retired, I decided it was time to get off my rear and write a book about the job that I had. ram1productions.com. My book is also available on Amazon, and through Amazon, it's on Kindle and also audio at the same time. So whether it's the paperback or e-version or audio version, it's available on Amazon.com.